Welcome back, everyone, once again to the second edition of the Women Influencer Summit and Awards 2021, hosted by UBS. Ladies, a gentle reminder to visit the UBS stall. Let's get started with our next session, Diversity and Inclusion, debunking myths and orbiting towards a gender-neutral perspective. Calling upon our moderator, Ms. Nivedita Nanda, CHRO Kaya Limited. Nivedita started her career as a pilot officer with Indian Air Force and is now a passionate HR leader. With versatile experience in establishing new greenfield ventures, significant mergers and acquisitions, and amalgamation of public and private enterprises. Joining her, we have Ms. Rati Diwan, Head HRBP, Organization Capability and Development, Max Bupa Health Insurance Company Limited. Rati is a transformational leader with more than 16 years of proven professional, enriching and diverse experience in HR strategy, conceptualization and execution, enabling higher business value proposition. Joining her, we have Ms. Sukla Chandra, Senior Managing Director, GE Licensing and Technology Investments. Shukla responsible for technology transfer and licensing collaborations for GE Technologies. In her last role, she was responsible for developing and executing multi-generation product and commercialization strategies for GE's rural electrification platform. Joining them, we have Ms. Ruchira Bhattacharya, Director, Innovation, Packaged Beverages, Tata Consumer Products Limited. Ruchira is a marketing professional with almost 13 years of experience in the FMCG industry. In her current role, she is responsible for driving the growth agenda through a robust innovation strategy and execution. Joining them, we have Ms. Mahua Sen Gupta, Managing Director, Mashreq Bank, Bangalore. Mahua is a senior business leader with 25+ years of experience across the globe, both in financial services industry and in the IT services industry. She is also extremely passionate about people issues, including that of women. Joining them, we have Ms. Sandhya Deep Puri, Chief People Officer, Sapphire Foods, Pizza Hut and KFC. Sandhya Deep, with an experience of more than 2 decades, has a vivid exposure of handling all major functions of HRD, including leadership development, coaching, corporate governance, and many more. I would now like to hand over to our esteemed moderator, Ms. Nivedita, to take it forward.
Hey, thanks a lot, Agya. So I think I'm privileged to lead this team today and moderate the beautiful topic, which all of us are passionate. I'm sure the audience is going to get a lot of knowledge and what we actually in our industries we are doing, because we come from different industries. That's the best part. I'm so happy to see, influential ladies in this panel, which gives me actually a lot of motivation to talk about it. But let me tell you guys, what we see here is not the fact outside, the organization. You'll be surprised, women are still largely underrepresented, on corporate boards globally. And unfortunately, this trend is, actually slow. So, we might talk about a lot of agenda in terms of a diversity or inclusion, but this growth in terms of women in corporates actually is very slow. I was just going through a McKinsey Diversity Wins Report 2020, which says women hold only 5.3% of board chair positions and 4.4% of CEO roles globally. Don't you think it's really shocking? I'm sure the panel will agree with me. It's a shocking, really shocking news. As we talk about so much, modernization, we talk about so much of gender diversity, so many panels we all attend. We see organization actually putting a lot of effort, trust me. So today we are going to talk about it more. We are going to discuss it with this, inspiring ladies. But first of all, I'll tell you my story. You must have heard Agya told that I was with Indian Air Force. It's like 20 years back, I was 19-year-old when I joined Air Force. During my training, I realized we are just 7 of us and there are 65 boys. You can imagine the training. It was tough with so many men. And when I got posted, I got posted to a place where I was the only woman, 20 years back. And most of the time felt during my service, trust me, I had a wonderful time. I really enjoyed. I think everybody should get an exposure to defense services. But most of the time I felt my competencies are not given due recognition. My seniors will always judge me, whether I can do it or whether she's physically fit to do it. I had to work twice as hard as men to prove my worth. I'm talking 20 years back, okay? Today, we are going to talk about what is happening today. And if you know, only last year, government gave permission to have ladies in fighter stream. Why? It took 20 years. I was a jumper pilot. I could have gone as a fighter pilot. When I saw, I felt so proud. I, in fact, called up the person. I said, I'm so proud that you have 3 girls squad. Why the government had to take 20 years to take a decision that, okay, women also can fly. Whereas Israel already has women fighter pilots. So you can imagine it hasn't changed, I feel, okay? And studies also have repeatedly shown that increasingly diversity is not only the, only the thing corporates are planning to do, but what efforts they're putting is more important. I think today we're going to talk about the efforts in different industry, what people are putting, the senior leaders are putting, or the organization is putting, how we are making the organization ready, okay, to improve this percentage what I spoke. I'm going to quickly go to Mohua, okay? Mohua, you come from a banking industry, right? Do you, right. Of course, banking industry, one sees a lot of ladies. One can see that, of course, Sandhya will talk about retail, which, it's at 19% or 18%, but banking still sees, a certain amount of ladies in the industry. But do you think, moving towards a world where the focus is on skill, on accomplishment, instead of a gender, and also, do you believe that it is all about ethics, or actually, gives you a bottom line, it improves your bottom line, or it's just a morality, we should have ladies in the organization? What do you think, Mohua?
Well, ethics and morality are extremely important in the business world, but I do think it's all about the bottom line. And this has been proven time and again. Multiple empirical studies have been done by organizations like Forbes or McKinsey, which has proven that diversity actually brings in improvement in the bottom line. And why does it do that? Because, see, we bring in multiple diverse set of people, bring in multiple different thinking, different ideas. So the solutions to any business problem come out much better because there are multiple. Whereas if it is a single type of individuals in the company, you kind of get into group thinking, and you don't get the best of ideas. But does diversity necessarily mean bottom line impact? That's where the challenge is. If diversity is seen by an organization as a number target, then it doesn't. Because many organizations today, and it's true that almost every organization has diversity as an agenda, but some are following it as a number target where it's a checkbox, that 50% at the initial level, then 30% in middle management, 20% in senior. I don't think that actually improves the bottom line. Bottom line improvement happens only when the diverse voices are heard. Many organizations have women in their leadership, women in their middle management, but they're not heard. Even in meetings, I've heard many a times, many organizations, because I'm also into theater, and we also have something in the theater-based behavioral learning where unconscious bias and diversity and inclusion is a big thing. When we talk to the corporate women, we hear many a times that, yeah, I'm here, but when there is a group meeting happening, my boss doesn't hear me. Whatever I try to say, it gets completely, he just doesn't pay any attention to it. So if that is the kind of situation, then diversity will not impact the bottom line. So change management, awareness about diversity and inclusion, all of that, if it can be done and diverse voices can be heard, then diversity will definitely bring in bottom line impact. That's what I think.
I'm sure, Moa, this is, I agree with you that it cannot be an agenda or a number. It has to be really cultural change. So what has happened is many organizations now, I remember one of the company, I was an IT company, I was heading HR. There's huge attrition, okay? I said, no, we need to have, so consciously I told the regional HR, guys, you need to have ladies in the, software developers, those days I'm talking about, 15 years back, very few. Today, if you see, actually the many software developers are women. But I saw a huge attrition, getting checked. And we saw, as you rightly said, a culture. And definitely when the attrition is low, your bottom line will definitely get impacted, right? So I think it helps. But some of the organizations have actually come up with a lot of good practices, which I would like to hear from the team here. Sukla comes from GE, one of the best organizations we know for HR practices for years. GE is known globally. So I'm sure, Sukla, do you have any good practices you can share wherein, gender diversity is taken not an agenda or, actually truly in true sense to create that culture where people feel comfortable? Do you have any good practices you can share?
Sure, Nivedita. First of all, thanks for inviting me to this panel. Very, very happy to be here. And I couldn't agree with you, Mahua, more that, it's not a number game. If whoever is treating is a number game, that, that's not going to work. And you're not going to get the full impact of it if it's just a number game. But also we have to remember that, all voices need to be heard. But first, the voices need to be in the system, and then they need to be heard. So there has to be a holistic approach. So what we look at in GE globally, and there are multiple regions, GE has 200,000 employees across the globe, about 160 countries. And so every country, every region, and we are a conglomerate of many businesses. And although mainly we work in industrial space, we call ourselves a digital industrial company, because digital is making such a huge impact in whichever machines we are manufacturing, whichever product we are delivering to our customers. So, every region, every business has their unique challenge, but something which is across all businesses, which is a horizontal, first of all, is leadership buy-in. In the sense like, it is something, inclusion and diversity. And I said inclusion first and diversity second, because unless we believe the broad, word of inclusion, diversity is just remains as another word. So when we look at inclusion and diversity across all businesses, across all regions for GE, the first thing is the leadership has to be bought in understanding and believing that the culture of the organization needs to shift. And when I say culture, having when we look at the lifetime of an employee comes on board, joins a company like GE or any other organization, learn and grow. So there are different phases of an employee in an organization. So we look at every step from the way, when we look at, who we are hiring, from where we are hiring, all of that. First thing, our goal is that whoever comes on board as an employee should be free to feel, free to be who they are. Gender, doesn't matter where they come from, their background, their education, who they are, what they believe in. They need to be who they are once they are on board. And that's the environment, we try to give, because we have seen an environment where they feel safe, they feel they can learn and grow. Their productivity goes, really way up. And that's what it starts impacting the bottom line. So one is hiring the right set of employees and going through the process. And we do have a process to hire gender diversity. But when I say that, we need to be very conscious of the fact that, a woman doesn't want to hear ever in her career that you got this job because you're a woman.
Exactly.
You don't want to hear that. You got the job because you deserved it. Now, you may lack some of the stuff you need to have the next job, but that's the organization where they can help you to get there so that you can get the job. And when you get the job, everybody agrees that you are the best person for the job. So there is a lot of stuff we are doing for hiring from directly from colleges and also experienced people. We are building a pipeline for all our businesses, which is GE Power, GE Aviation, renewables, healthcare, and these are the spaces, a lot of manufacturing, supply chain, commercial, which are traditionally not really a very rich space for women to be in. So we are are actively working with our talent acquisition team, external consultant, to make sure that every business have a very rich pipeline of women. Doesn't matter whether we hire them today or tomorrow, but the pipeline is very important. We never say that we have a target of hiring of this much. We always say that when you have a slate to interview, the slate should be very rich in diversity, so that the best person can get the job. But if the world population is 50-50, we should have the same population when we are looking to interview for a role. So that's one. Now, when they are on board, there are various programs which is in place to make sure that the women actually learn and grow. They feel safe, and they have mentors, they have sponsors, they have buddies. We also focus a lot on women. We have seen, and I'm sure all of you may have seen in other organizations, that we lose a lot of women in the mid-career. When they start having, responsibility of families, children, we lose a lot of women. So we have a lot of things in policy for women who are expecting children. We have policies for the men because, without men, women cannot thrive. So everybody needs to be in it together. So how to make sure that we have the support system ready, and support system can come from other women, other men, your leaders, your HR team, all of it. So there are a lot of policies and processes in place for that. We have daycare, we have support groups for working moms, all of that. And then how do we make sure these women actually feel empowered to take more and more responsibility and expanded role? So our people processes, our promotion, how do we select people for trainings, which are very important? A very, very intentional focus is there to make sure that we do not lose out on developing a woman who deserves it. So, and also we are very, very careful of the fact that we do not want it to come out as that we only want women to go forward, because that's not the kind of perception we want to give. We also have a program where we bring in people who are restarting their career after taking a gap. We really encourage that because that's very important. So in a nutshell, those are different phases of an employee where we have a lot of processes in place. I'm not saying we are perfect. We do have a lot of training for our frontline leaders to remove unconscious bias. I heard the term used by Mahua, and I'm sure that will come up in the discussion as we go forward. We do have a lot of effort going behind that. So the culture of the organization really become rich. So I'll stop here. I'm sure,
Absolutely. I think very well said. I think G has a lot of, programs. I think it's really, one can, people actually copy from G, this kind of interventions. But I agree with you, to become a gender diverse organization, it has to be driven equally with all the levels. Everybody has to put some effort. In fact, you mentioned something, women, coming back after maternity, that career break. Sandhya, I'll come to you, because you come from retail. We all know in retail, we don't get store managers, women, right? It's very difficult. You are, because that's the age people go, the ladies go for their maternity break. So it becomes very difficult for any retail HR to get, even if the business says, I would like to have a woman, it's difficult. Sandhya, I'm sure you'll agree with me. But how do we get the entire company, entire organization, or maybe our leadership team on board with this diversity and inclusion initiative? How do you think we get them on board? Sandhya, to you.
Not easy, and yet, Nivedita, I think it's not that difficult also. Most importantly, I think the leadership, if you're able to build a business case, the leadership is already sold in. If you're able to show them how your top line and your bottom line can be impacted by diversity and inclusion, I think half the game is won. But it doesn't end there. The challenge begins when you have to get them people and get them diverse people. And I'm saying not just gender diversity, the multiple kind of diversities and inclusion that you're trying to target. When you're trying to showcase the performing diversity to the leadership, I think the switch kind of turns around when you are able to show that diversity performs, and when you create a culture around it, diversity can outshine and show disproportionate results. I think that's where the flipping point is. And therefore, as leaders, and especially as HR, I think what we have to be able to tell the leaders is the business case, what is in it for them, and then provide the people. Most of the times organizations are challenged. What I heard Sukla also saying, that, get people in the funnel. If you're interviewing for a position, have that stable, diverse base for you to interview and identify. If you're developing people internally, have that set of people, a good mix of diversity where they're able to pick up from and get the performance up. That is one. I think second place is around the tipping point where women hop off the work wagon. That's the time they get into maternity, they get married, they get a lot of other social obligations that are, impending on them. And that's where organizations can support them. I'm not saying have, a focused policy around only women. It has to be gender neutral. However, your access, I think that's where we've been able to change the game. We've started our interaction with the family. So once the woman is getting into marriage, we kind of try and get the family into the fold. When the woman is about to, that's the mother's side of the family, the girl side of the family. Once she gets married, get the in-laws into the game, get them to see the kind of beautiful place the teams are working in, women are growing in. Showcase to them that their children, the daughter-in-laws are working in a place where they have to be equally proud of. I think that's one initiative that has helped us tremendously in being able to retain. So while we give them flexibility to kind of go on maternity leave, come back refreshed when they want to come back, two, we continue to engage with them and the families, extended families, to ensure that we don't lose people while we haven't arrived there. I don't think I would say we are perfect there, but definitely I see the needle moving, and I see a positive traction in being able to get the families into the folds of the journey of women. I think that has been a big game changer for us.
You rightly said that collaboration is more important than anything else. Collaboration inside the team and with external, that is families. I think that is a good mixture of, putting that effort wholeheartedly, getting the ladies back to the work. I'll go to Ruchira. Ruchira, you come from a consumer background, right? All of us agree, that as ladies, we have the, that sixth sense when it comes to understanding a consumer, right? So do you see in your area, you have more ladies working, or you have to put an effort, or your HR puts effort? How is it in your work area?
So I'm a market. So thanks, Nivedita. I think some great insights coming in today. But I'm a marketeer by profession.
Yeah.
I spent the last 13 years, working in marketing, and I think in my field of work, the female to male ratio is fairly healthy, both
Absolutely.
from an organization and an industry standpoint. And to that effect, I would say very fortunate to be working in an environment that almost brings out each individual. I think if we step back from the gender part of it, I think also a deep appreciation for what each individual brings to the table, and I think one of the things that always comes to my mind is where I started my career. When I started my career many years back, I started in sales, and my first job, I was sitting in a room and I had a team of 30 people, all of whom were male and far more obviously experienced than me, because this was really my first stint. And my intuitive reaction was to step out of who I naturally was as a persona and step into the persona of this person who I felt would be the success template, of a team manager handling 30 people, experienced people. And therefore I let go of my real self in a sense. And a few months down the line, working with my team, I realized that actually what really matters to them is whether their leader is authentic, whether their leader is capable of delivering to a vision of growth, both for the team and the business, and whether their leader has their best interests in mind, each one of them. And when I realized that, I think things became much simpler in terms of what part of myself do I want to bring to my work? And the answer to that was that I need to bring my authentic self to my workplace, because there is no other way. And I think authenticity, the point of authenticity is really what goes back to making a gender neutral workplace. So, the starting point of what is gender neutrality, it's not saying that both the genders are equal. It's not, because they are very different from one another. And, each one has different responsibilities. There is a domestic part of the equation. There is a family part of the equation. So really coming back to gender neutrality, I think the second we identify that each one is special, to really create an environment where each one can thrive, grow, and contribute. I think that's the first step, to understand that it's not about saying I'm a woman, I can do as much as a man, but I'm a woman and these are my strengths. And that is what I bring to the table. And therefore, working in an environment which appreciates those traits in me is something that's very valuable. And I work in an industry that values these traits, diversity, whether it is on gender or whether it is on any other, today there's also work diversity, the kind of profiles that experience that people bring to the table are so different. That's the starting point. I think the second one is a lot of flexibility from an organization standpoint, to be able to, really embrace a woman in different parts of her life cycle. You need to have flexibility. So, small things like having, a core number of working hours, or not maybe scheduling meetings very late into the night, or scheduling meetings at a time when you know that perhaps a female member of your team is not going to be easily available. And I think COVID has played a great role in instilling a sense of, while it's been a very hard time for all of us, but it's forced us to, take a way of working that is far more flexible. And I think at the fundamental of that is having trust, having trust in each employee, and having the empathy. And in that sense, I think working for an organization like Tata Consumer, there is a lot of emphasis on both trust and empathy at an individual level. And lastly, I completely agree when you said earlier that gender neutrality or even gender diversity is not the task. It's not a task, right? It's a mindset, it's a culture. And to that extent, like any other culture or like any other mindset, it needs to be driven from the top, yes, but it equally needs to be owned by everyone. And when I say owned by everyone, there are certain kinds of behaviors that need to be appreciated. There are certain policies that go a long way in sending out the right message. And I think on a day-to-day basis, a lot more openness, appreciation, and creating an environment where everyone is able to function to the best of their abilities. More specific to my industry, we are lucky we have a lot of great women leaders in the boardrooms, in the meeting rooms, and also in our teams. So yeah.
Great. I think, Ruchira, you just said one good thing is all about first, what you are. There is nobody's going to look at you, a woman. I remember a long time back used to say, a defense officer is different. Why a lady officer? First thing I said, let's be called an officer. That's it. Why you have to say me? You don't talk about a male officer. Why a lady officer? The officer is from the front, and maybe it is a woman or a man. How does that matter? I think I agree with you fully on this. I'm also going to talk about, I was with Reliance Energy those days. I had gone to a campus recruitment, Kurukshetra, those days. It was called Regional Engineering College. There's a girl, I was hiring the electrical engineers basically. Suddenly one girl comes and meets me. She says, ma'am, can I come for the interview? I said, what happened? She's a civil engineer. Okay, no company was ready to hire her because they thought a lady, lady who can she stand in the, construction areas, because she'll be surrounded by workers. And so she was not getting a job in her core area. Very, very sad, At that point of time, I told her, you are such a smart girl. Do you think you'll come and work with me in electrical engineering, or I'll get you in a BI team? Because so I wanted to hire her. I just thought I'll just help her. But just imagine, I thought of helping her because I couldn't give her a job which she required at that point of time. And many construction companies going to the campus and not hiring a woman. It's very sad. That's the reason I think the companies should have some kind of program, or there has to be someone who should be accountable, to get this agenda rolling. All the leaders have their top line to look at. HR has their hiring look at. So Rati, I'll come to you. Do you think there is a role for this diversity and inclusion, or maybe we call it officer? There are many companies who have this. And do you think this person who's day and night only, goes saying that how do I get the gender neutrality in place? And do you think the person can make it a success, Rati? Coming from an insurance company, I'm sure you must be hiring a lot of, you'll have people who must be selling, the sales force. Do you think it will help this role?
So thank you so much, Nivedita, for that question. Before I answer that question, I'll take a step back. And since we have wonderful, influential women leaders who are part of this forum, I would say the entire concept of diversity really starts from our home.
Yeah.
Right. The moment we start treating our children, both boy and girl, at the same level, that is where we are then nurturing the right culture in our society itself. And we being mothers, we being the women leaders, I think we take the lead over there as well. So I think that's the first step. Let's start looking inwards, because then automatically we are creating an environment where the equality will be there. I mean, hoping so.
Yes.
Secondly, coming back to the question you said, and to the wonderful ideas my fellow panelists said, so be it in terms of really bringing yourself to the organization, which is really being you, or helping women who have taken break to come back to their work environment. I think all of these are fancy and beautiful ideas. If they're not executed well, if they're not tried to the last mile that they had to deliver. We have head of HR, we have head of marketing, we have head of innovation, marketing, sales, everything. Because we have a specific goal that we want to achieve in each of these fields, then why shouldn't we actually have a head or a chief inclusion and diversity officer?
Absolutely.
If we have decided that this is the milestone that we have to achieve, then we should definitely appoint a committee or an officer who should ensure. So one, I would say this person should actually be responsible to charter out, to say what is it that the organization is, on the path to. Each of us have a different maturity level, be it in terms of the sector or the organization we are at. Hence, define the charter very clearly. Define the matrix that we want to achieve, by end of every year or by end of 3 years, 5 years. Define those matrices very clearly. Mobilize the resources. If it means we have to mobilize resources locally, globally, this person should actually be responsible for doing that. If it means tying up with certain colleges, let's do that. I would also say probably the most important aspect is also really championing the cause. Championing the cause so that you are able to create more of similar champions within the organization. You're able to take these ideas to the boardroom and ensure that there is equal representation of women in the boardroom. Hence, taking that entire responsibility to take this agenda as a critical one and not just really a good initiative to have, but it is actually a must to have.
Yeah.
I think the other piece also I would want to say is I think Shukla mentioned this in her discussion, that it's not really about just bringing in the people. So you bring in diversity, but the most important thing is how do you create a more inclusive environment when you've got people on board. But if our policies or if our people are not supportive of having diverse workforce at place, then it's a futile exercise.
Yeah.
So create policies, enable people to be themselves. And I love the point what Ruchira said, and that's something that I strongly believe in. We don't need to act like a men, because we see so many around us. We don't need to act like that. We are special in our own ways. We have our own competency, be it in terms of empathy, be it in terms of the authenticity that we bring to the table. Just be ourselves. We are not competing against men. It's a world where both of them coexist, and they should coexist together to be really much more productive. So I think that is where this entire concept of having a committee or a chief IND officer in place is very, very important. Just the last piece from my side. And when we create this DNI or the IND committee or the officer, I would seriously request that there should be a representation of male in that committee. It shouldn't be only a woman committee. And similarly, I would have loved to see my male colleagues in this particular panel. Today, it's only women leaders.
I agree.
We can't drive diversity if we don't have men on board with us. It has to be done in partnership.
I agree. I agree. I think I'll take a point here from Rati. Every organization, I was discussing with the panel yesterday, this paternity leave, right? It's a small, I must tell you that everybody, almost most of the organization have gone into that. I think it's a beautiful step to take. But I think one thing is we should make them ready mentally, As Rati said, we should have policies. I would like to talk about a policy which we did recently. I think all the men loved it. What we did is we said the day the lady comes out of the maternity, okay, the first day she leaves the child behind, that day the men can take a day off. It's an additional leave to them. You won't believe, as rightly Rati said, we need to have the men with us. Believe me, all the men said, I think this is one of the best policy we had heard of, because the mother is actually panicking because this is the first day she's moving out, for 6 hours or 8 hours from home. And so the father is there for the kid. So I agree with you, Rati, we need to have policies in place to get this diversity agenda in the organization. But definitely, I would like to ask the panel here. Many organizations here. Just one caution that we will keep it to women here, because DI concept is much bigger than that. Because this whole the panel is all about women in the organization. So I would like to hear from you. Many organizations, construction, infrastructure, they have not started yet. What will be your advice, each one of you? I'll go to how do we start this whole concept? In an organization where actually it's difficult. I gave an example of not getting hired because she's a civil engineer. How she's going to cope up? How do you think? I'll go to Mahua. Mahua, do you have any idea how do we start this from an organization where we have not started this?
So it has to be two-pronged. One way, there has to be a number target, because at some level there has to be a force in there.
Yes, agree.
But on the other hand, even if we bring in people, the women will not stay unless they get the right atmosphere.
Yes.
So it has to be a push. And then the other thing is bring in the change management, build the awareness in people. And as someone said, I'm a big believer of including men in any kind of women initiative, because that's the only way it will be successful.
Yes.
Because otherwise it becomes it just builds a divide, which is not healthy. So that's what I would say. It has to be two-pronged and involve men.
Yeah. Ruchira, can I think your video is off. So you have any piece of advice? How do we start an organization where it is not there? How do we start?
So first of all, I think today there is a lot more awareness,
yes,
there's a lot of impetus on this. So I would be surprised if, there is an entire organization.
You'll be surprised, the construction, even retail, one really struggles, infrastructure, manufacturing units, okay? You will not find ladies first.
Okay, so for me, any change, any cultural change really starts at the top. So there has to be someone from the inside who's passionate about driving this. And I think the way to drive it is, of course, to link it with why it will help the business. Why diversity, why it is important from a culture and from a business mindset. And then, the person who really owns this then needs to drive it from within.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think the infrastructure, okay, to start with, do you have proper loose in the factories for ladies? This
Absolutely.
is a small thing, but Sukya, I'll come to you. Any piece of advice you will have?
Sure. So manufacturing, supply chain, this is one area where traditionally we have not seen, especially in
Yes.
our region,
Yeah.
in India, a lot of women coming forward. So two ways of looking at it. One is, when you are starting something like this, first of all, you need to give a very high level of push and the buy-in from the leadership team. So if you are doing it for a particular plant and the plant director or the plant operating officer doesn't buy into this kind of initiative, then it's a very difficult thing. And the ship supervisor, everybody from top to bottom. So making people understand how it impacts their day-to-day life or productivity and results and all of that, that is very important. So it can't be done overnight. So it
Yeah.
has to be a process. Of
Absolutely.
course, you have to
Absolutely.
start somewhere.
Uh,
But second is, giving an environment where if you bring in, so we actually have plants where on all 3 shifts women are operating.
Wow.
So you can imagine, and those plants are mostly not in big cities, so they are a little away from big cities. So if you have to start a shift at 6 o'clock in the morning, you have to get some women picked up from their home with transport
Absolutely.
at 4:30 o'clock in the morning. So there are a lot of logistics
Yeah.
planning and all of that has to happen, and that takes a lot of initiative, time, effort, everything. But then when you see how it impacts the overall environment and the productivity for a particular unit, it's mind-boggling, actually.
Absolutely.
So that's where we need to start. So
Yeah.
if we had said that no, 3 shifts will not do, just let's do 1 shift because it's the easiest way to do it,
Yeah.
then it will never be done. But when you have set your mind to it and you put together a process behind it, I think it's doable. Another thing I want to definitely talk about is giving the right role models. So when the women
Wow.
come on board, they need to see similar kind of women. How are they thriving in the system? So unless you kind of show them the role models and they aspire to be those role models, that's also very important.
Oh, yes. I fully agree with you. They should see some ladies on, in the Mancom team, I'm sure that will inspire them to, be part of the organization. Sandhya, how do you feel?
All of us summed it very well. It has to be, if it's in an uninitiated sector, it
Yeah.
has to be top driven.
Yeah.
There have to be mandates around which people work. So you work on, so leadership has to be aligned. If the leadership is not aligned, might as well not get into it, because that's going to create more of issues than facilitate the entire process.
Yeah.
So that is one. Two, once the leadership is aligned, I think the leadership needs to talk more and more and more of the expectations that they have out of diversity. And sometimes people need to be pushed and nudged towards it. Simultaneously, I think creating that culture where women feel wanted. What happens is when you push people into such environments that are not initiated, women feel unwanted, and that's the last thing you want to do, because you are not trying to help them, because then you're actually turning those willing women away from the whole area that you want to include them into. So I think it has to be a 360-degree work. The leadership first, if the leadership is aligned, mandates next, culture third, and all of this has to be simultaneously driven. In absence of any one of these spokes of the wheel, I think the wheel can tend to collapse and start. When you're initiating diversity in uninitiated sectors, start big. Create a lot of
Yes.
marketing hula around it, so that it is accepted as a process that is new, and there is certain amount of, so there will be a push from non-initiated, but they will still know that this is something that the management is testing. We'll need to align, abide. So I think a full-fledged work that needs to be done, and that's where what Rati said that get a DNI leader who's going to probably keep eyes on this.
Absolutely. I think that's very well said, Sandhya. I think we have just 4 minutes. I'll quickly summarize and we'll go to the question answer session. There are 4 to 5 things came out very clearly from this whole panel. One is that definitely the leadership is private, and it has to be a holistic approach. It's not a number game. Of course, when you want to start somewhere, Moa said that we need to have the number so that people start out with something, right? And you need to create an environment where people, the ladies, feel comfortable. And it's not only infrastructure, but definitely emotionally, a culture wherein people feel very accepted, women feel accepted, because if one has to go for a maternity leave, somebody should not feel, oh my God, I have a lady who has to go for this. Okay, we need to see it's a part of life. Okay, and the fourth important thing came out is what Rati said, there has to be a role. Somebody has to be accountable to drive this. Otherwise, this agenda will go somewhere, because everybody has a primary role to drive. So somebody's actually the agenda should be drive this whole thing, gender diversity in the organization. Then only it will become successful. But we need to sensitize the organization externally as well as internally. I think these are the few main points came out from the panelists. I'll now open it up for the audience. If you have any question for any panelist, we'll take it forward. This is open. Agya, do you think you can help us to coordinate this? Any questions? Otherwise, we are right on time. I've just given 2-3 minutes for the questions.
Sure, yes. We'll just have a look if we have any questions from the audience.
Yeah.
What is beautiful about diversity is that if it rides on inclusion, the leader should be willing to have that inclusive mindset. Even if there is one woman across, include her in the relevant places. I think that just speaks volumes of the initiatives. I think my whole focus is on inclusion. Obviously diversity is a fallout of it, but have that inclusive workforce that makes it, I think, more beautiful, Nivedita.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the focus.
You have just said it. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's open. We all are, people are open to asking you questions on chat or in the networking area. So no questions as of now.
Perfect. I think wonderful, ladies. I think I enjoyed speaking to all of you. I'm sure you all had a great time. The panelists must thank you. The audience to hearing us. Thanks a lot, ladies. Anybody else was to thank the audience? You're welcome, panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thanks, Agya. All of you be safe. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much, Sandhyadeep, Mahua, Ruchira, Shukla, Rati, and Nivedita for those amazing thoughts and insights.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. You take care.